was diagnosed with a case of severe scoliosis myself when I was 11, and I know that there are a lot of other people out there that have had similar experiences or will have similar experiences. Now, when I was 11 and I was first diagnosed, I went online and there were not many resources for me. There were not many support groups or anything for me to be able to find that I have support outside of my family. So hopefully this video can serve as that for somebody else. Well, scoliosis is exactly defined as the improper curvature of the spine, which for a lot of people isn't that significant. You maybe have a little bit more back pain than the average person, but it doesn't impact your day-to-day. You can still keep functioning relatively normal. However, for other people, the curve gets more severe, it gets worse, and you start to notice it. Your back pain is worse. You notice that you're looking a little uneven, your hips are off, waist, shoulders, ribs, and that is when it can cause a problem. And it usually happens to girls, and it starts showing itself around puberty when you are going through those growth spurts. And for a lot of people, the definition of their type of scoliosis is idiopathic, which means that the exact cause of why they have it is not known yet. I have idiopathic scoliosis, and most people that I know with scoliosis have also had idiopathic scoliosis. Now, scoliosis can be caused by a litany of other problems too, so when I was first diagnosed with scoliosis, they did make me go under an MRI to make sure that I didn't have anything else going on. Like, one of the common situations is you can get cysts growing in your spine, or if the spinal fluid gets kind of trapped in them, then obviously that's going to make your spine go a little bit wonky. I did not, I just had the idiopathic. But it is still a problem, and it was still uncomfortable whether the cause is known or not. I still don't really know. When I was first diagnosed, I gave it a lot of thought, but I had no genetic history of scoliosis in my family tree, so somewhere around the line, my genes just did the Macarena and decided, you know what sounds good? Gonna do a little wiggle. Now, my parents remember, and I'm sure a lot of your parents would remember too, in early middle school, decades ago, well, not decades, don't tell my mom I said that, but before, sorry mom, there would be testing for scoliosis. They would have doctors and nurses come in and, check, run their fingers down everyone's spine to make sure that it is lined straight, there's no issues. So if someone does have scoliosis, it could have got stopped before it got worse. Well, obviously they're not particularly doing that anymore, so it did take me longer to get diagnosed, and that was a long time of chronic back pain. I was struggling to get through the school day, really, without feeling just dreadful by the end of it, and a lot of being told to improve my posture when I was doing the best I could. Especially as it got closer to my official time of being diagnosed, I noticed that my hips were a little bit uneven. One is higher than the other, and my rib cage was off, and it gave me a little bit of a hunchback on my right side, which when you're 12, nobody wants that. Kids are mean. So that was definitely a scary moment up to getting diagnosed. So in a sense, being diagnosed was a sort of relief. I know what's going on. I know why it's going on. I know that there is a way to fix this issue. So 1 month after my birthday party, we drove our way over to the Shriners Hospital for Children in Portland, Oregon. And thank goodness we did. Shriners Hospital is absolutely amazing, and they made the world of difference. It was a great experience. They were so supportive, and honestly, I don't know where I would be right now if I didn't go to Shriners, in all honesty. I mean, if I was a billionaire, I would give $999 million to Shriners, and I am not kidding right now. They made a huge difference, and I thank my lucky stars for letting me be able to go to Shriners to have my operation. If you were having a scoliosis surgery and the opportunity arises, please check out going to Shriners. I can't recommend them enough, really. This is the equivalent of a personal endorsement, for lack of a better term, I suppose. But, so I went there early in the morning. Like, I was up at 3 a.m. I think I was there by 5 or 6 in the morning. I had, first surgery of the day, basically. They gave me Valium. I was good. I was on my own planet. But it was really scary when they took my pre-op scoliosis, or spinal x-ray, to see where I was at, because it got worse a lot faster than they thought that it did. Up in my neck, I had a curve of 27.9 degrees. In my upper spine, I had a curve of 74.8 degrees. And in my lower spine, it was 42 degrees. That was a really scary moment, but also it showed me that I had no other option. This is truly the best thing for me. I needed to have that surgery. And again, it was the best thing for me. It was very scary hearing the results of that x-ray, because if your spine curvature gets bad enough, if left untreated and it gets to an incredibly severe degree, they may consider doing what's called a halo, where basically they put like bolts around your head and then they just kind of hang you, and you can like walk around with it and everything, but the idea is that it's pulling the top of your head, the top of your spine, so that way it's by the time you're going for surgery, it's good enough, it's improved enough so that you can be able to have the surgery. There were some other patients there at the Shriners that did have to have the halo and were awaiting their surgery. As far as I'm aware, very few people actually have to get it, because usually you can tell a long time beforehand that you need a surgery, or ideally even you just need a brace. And so emotionally, I was very relieved with that surgery. I mean, before, I was always in pain. My posture was never good. My ribs were uneven. I was not having a fun time, and especially when you are entering those teenage years. It was a very emotionally vulnerable moment, and that surgery was really life-changing for me. In all honesty, you can't choose scoliosis. It just happens to you at random. There's really nothing you can do to prevent it. If it's going to happen to you, it's going to happen to you. It's what you do with that diagnosis that matters. And what I'm choosing to do with my diagnosis and previous experience is to share it, to hopefully make somebody else's experience with it better. When I woke up and was able to comprehend what was going on, I realized that the results of my surgery were far better than expected and then they told us to, anticipate. I mean, they put the rods in just in my upper spine, and save for the curvature at the bottom, which was still significantly reduced, the curves in my neck and my upper spine were basically gone. I basically grew like 2.5–3 inches in 8 hours thanks to those Harrington rods. What the Harrington rods are, well, rods. They're made out of titanium, and they put them on, there's 2 of them usually, and they put them on one side, 2 sides, both sides of that spine. And then they kind of line it up, straighten out the spine, and then they screw screws in to align the rods with your spine, force straightening that spine out, force removing the curve, and it prevents it from really ever being able to do its scoliosis thing again. So when I woke up, one of the first things I noticed was I can feel these in my body. I can feel 2 spinal attachments that were not there before, and that was really weird. And when I first woke up, I wasn't necessarily in significant amount of pain because I was under a lot of morphine, but it just felt weird. I felt refreshed. I mean, obviously I'm not gonna like walk 5 seconds after waking up and be like, whoa, it's amazing, but I was able to feel that this all feels weird, but it's a lot better than it was before. I would rather feel weird than in excruciating pain. I honestly remember very, 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 very little of that experience in the hospital. My mom took notes all the time. She hardly left me. She kept updates on what I had, how I was doing, you know, what the doctors and nurses said, who came in, and we've kept all the letters, so I have a setup plan. I do really want to record more videos. I want to share my experience before, during my diagnosis, during my 5 days in the hospital, and after and today. So I have a part 2 setup that I will record and upload in the near future about my recovery process. But at the end of the day, if nothing else, I just want to drive home that you should get yourself checked. Do not doubt yourself. Do not think that, oh, it's just me being awkward. It's just me complaining. This back pain is normal. No, it isn't. Talk to your parents. Talk to the school nurse. Talk to a doctor. You need to get yourself checked. If you feel like you're leaning, if you feel like your shoulders are off, if you feel back pain, 4 out of 5 school days, get yourself checked. If your hips, whatever, get yourself checked. If you don't even have any symptoms, but the opportunity presents itself where you can, I would strongly recommend getting yourself checked. Cover those bases, and you would much rather know ahead of time and be able to monitor it than realize that, well, I wish I caught it months ago. If you need a brace, you need a brace today. If you need surgery, you need surgery today. You want to get it taken care of as soon as possible. Because that pain, it's not okay to live with that pain. Don't be like me and try to suck it up and think, you know, oh, this is normal. Every 12-year-old deals with extreme spine pain, you know, extreme back pain. No, they don't. They don't. Tell somebody and get yourself checked. Make sure that everything is okay. I cannot tell you guys enough. And when I was first diagnosed, I didn't have much in the name of role models, but I still did a lot of research. I know that if you live near one, Curvy Girls can be a great support group and a great resource if you have been diagnosed with scoliosis. And if there's not one in your area, start one. Because I can guarantee you that there are girls in your town with scoliosis that would love that support group too. So if there's not one near your area, start one, join one, talk about it. And the thing is too, is I know I talk a lot about the scoliosis surgery because that was my own experience, but for the majority of people that do have scoliosis, they don't get the surgery. The surgery is a last resort. There are a lot of other preventative measures that can be done too. I know most girls that I know that have had scoliosis have just had to have the brace and they've just had to wear it, and they're since able to go about their daily lives and live relatively normally after having used that brace. So don't let me scare you with that. I don't mean to scare you. It's just my own personal experience with it and my own personal story and my personal journey, and everyone's is different. Everyone's curvature, everyone's bodies, everyone's mind, heart, and soul, and everyone's treatment plan is different depending on their own needs. Now, as I previously mentioned, I do intend to write a part 2 to this, detailing more the recovery immediately after leaving the hospital, and I have a plan for writing and recording some other details and parts about my own scoliosis journey. So please like, subscribe, follow, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I am an open book. My journey is one that I'm sharing with you. So if you have any questions, there's no fear in asking.